What's up guys, Epic Tim here. We are back. It's been a couple of weeks. Sorry about that. We had a lot of adventures going on. We got some context coming for you in just a second. But first things first, working on the Nova. Trying to get the axle all prepped up so that when we go through and do the final welding for everything, it's all cleaned up and ready to go. And not sure how well you're going to be able to see in here, but there's a bunch of trash in this tube all the way down to the inside. And I've got no great way to clean and grind that out. When you're a little down on your luck and you're having trouble working on your project and you're not sure how to figure things out, take a little breather and get creative. Let's take a look at what we got here. So since I can't get very far in with the file or sandpaper or anything else, and I'm unwilling to take a piece of sandpaper and a long screwdriver and scrub the inside out by hand, my friend Greg gave me one of these nice flap wheels. Not sure if you can see all the detail here, but it's just lined up sheets of sandpaper. This is like $1 at a swap meet. Excellent find. Thank you, Greg. I've gone a little further. I've taken this and I've welded it to a piece of round stock and attached it to my drill. Wow, I must say that is 1000% better. What a great idea. So now that we got that out of the way, we're going to take a quick minute and put the brake backing plate and other stuff on, rotor and whatnot, so we can clock that wheel end into the exact position that we want it to set. A few of you guys were asking what the back end of my third member looked like, weirdos, but here you go. So this is the Strange Pro HD aluminum case with caps and everything, through bolt design. You've got 3 nuts and studs on the front end that you saw in the last video, and then you've got one back here. And the reason that you can't put this on the front is because that's where the pinion goes. There's nowhere for it to go through and actually bolt to and get a nut on the front end. This here is the Strange S-Track. You can see the logo on it right there maybe. 370 gear ratio, pretty standard stuff. Now this is all set up from the factory, and what I actually need to do right now is take it apart, as much as it pains me to do so. Before that happens, I'm going to go ahead and mark and take a visual representation of where all the adjustments are made, so that way when I put it back together I can get it set up exactly the way it was, the way Strange intended, and we can double check all those measurements by getting the pinion preload and other stuff and backlash before it all the way comes apart. I'm going to go ahead and take care of some of that right now off camera. We'll see you in a second. So as you guys can see, I've got the alignment pucks in now. That's what these guys are. They're all set up. This one's just a smidge loose, but it's going to be alright. I forgot that the pinion was over here, so I had to kind of flip this one around, but it's still got plenty of bite. Should line everything out just fine. Good thing that there's this relief here. It wouldn't have fit at all. So these are 3/250 bearings, and these pucks are 3/250 on the inside, and I think straight 3.5 inch on the outside. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take this thing, put it back in the housing, and get ready to put our alignment bar in. Then we can start to line up all the brakes and everything else. So now that we got the diff in, you can see inside the tube where those alignment pucks are inside of the carrier, and that's going to go through both sides. So the center part of this carrier is going to keep everything true. We want everything in a straight line right here, front to back, up and down, so that everything lines up and we got no binding. When those splines on that axle start to turn over, if they're waking back and forth, they're going to create some friction and tear those splines up prematurely. So getting this alignment here right now is critical. If we mess this up, it determines the fate of the axle. Alright, so the alignment bar slid in nice and straight. Let's take a look at both of the ends. Make sure we've got a fairly even gap all the way around here. Come to the other side. Make sure we've got a fairly even gap all the way around here, and we do. So we got a little bit of wiggle room inside of here. which is okay. And we're gonna need just a smidgen to get everything set up. That little bit of wiggle room is gonna be fine. Now you find a lot of people out there that are super critical on getting this thing just precise to the 10,000ths of an inch. There's no need for that. You get a little bit of room in splines, it's okay. You just don't want to be so far apart where it looks something like this. What's up, guys? We're out in the shop doing a little cleanup today. Got my shop dog with me. She's waiting for mom to come home. Gonna be putting some stuff away and trying to get organized so I can keep at it on the progress here. So I figured now's a better time to do Q&A than ever. So first question I got was, why not do the wheel tubs first? And I actually answered that a couple videos ago. If I had to do it all over again, I would definitely do wheel tubs first with all the stock axle suspension and everything else in there, so I have the room and I know where everything else is gonna go. No guesswork, no extra work being the biggest point, and also no problems fitting wheels in there. I've had to buy different wheels and tires because I can't run the wheels and tires I intend to run when this is all done. So James wants to know, his wife 63 is sitting in Jeff City and needs a full belly pan. Would there be any advantage to a clean slate belly when installing this truck arm setup? And I must say that it probably would be easier if you're gonna go ahead and do full belly pans on a car like this. I would say brace it up on the inside, put it on a rotisserie or make a rotisserie really fast. They're not that hard to do. And then set all of this stuff up when the floor is out. Now the tough part's gonna be if you don't have some of these cross members and other locations marked, you're not gonna know exactly how high to set things or not, which could make putting some of the equipment in more difficult as well. So a little bit of pro, a little bit of con. I would say do it while everything's out. It's gonna make welding on the top a lot easier. If I had to do this all over again with the floor in it, I would have tacked all the outside positions in, tacked all of these bars on, and then dropped all of this onto the ground as an assembly, welded the tops of this. So you can see here, we've got seam sealer in several positions to try and make sure that we don't have any issues with rust out or leak. And I would have much rather welded all that up. All right, shop dog wants to go inside. So next question is, using this Mosier housing, what's causing me to trim that cross member so thin? And I'll kind of get up here and show you that I don't think that it is the Mosier's problem. I think it is more of a running a Ford 9-inch in this car problem. So these pumpkins on these things are pretty huge. There's a lot of room that they take up. Granted, a fabricated housing like this does take up a little bit more room, but it doesn't give it any more forward push. So what we're doing is we've got about 28, maybe 29 inches for tire clearance, overall tire size between here and there. If I went with a lot smaller tire like what came on the car, I could have moved this whole axle farther forward the way it was kind of set up from stock. The way this is set up right now, it's actually pushed back just a tiny little bit. If you do even more, you run a bigger tire and you push it even farther back, you're gonna get less and less clearance issues with that cross member. James wants to know, if he did this with a stock 10 bolt, would he still have clearance issues? My guess is yes, but probably not as severe. The front side of that 9-inch pumpkin that goes right there takes up quite a bit of room, especially with an aluminum case. It's got a lot more venting and a lot thicker front end on that. 10 bolt, a little bit more trimmed off, being all cast iron. Next question. What does the interior look like? Alright. So currently we've got this blue. I believe it's a little bit of a combination of bright blue and aqua. I'll pull the tag on the firewall once we get the car back down on the ground running on its own 2 legs, and we'll do a video on just how to dissect that tag. See if you guys like that. Might help a bunch of people out, who knows. Currently we've got the back seat out because we were doing some welding on the floor and some other situations. Wanted to make sure we didn't burn anything up or overly dirty anything that's in there. Make sure we didn't want to catch anything on fire. I did catch a little bit of seam sealer on fire, but she went right out. Next question is, what kind of damper does the truck arm kit use? And you can really run whatever, I believe, 8-inch shock or damper that you want. I'm a little cheap on this because I don't know exactly what kind of shock or damper I'm going to want for the application that it's going to go to in the future. So I'm a little bit new to shock settings and weird stuff that goes on there. We rushed up and ordered this kit. I just told Steve at Hot Rods to Help, give me whatever you think's going to work great, and he gave me a set of QA1s here. So these guys go from right here to right here. We'll pop a couple in for you real quick. So this is how it's all gonna set up, and where we're at right now is actually ride height. I don't know if you can tell, but we've got the jack up just enough to get it off the frame lift pads and get a little squat here. Now granted, this stuff's not all tight, we're just kind of setting it up to show you. Grab my handy flashlight here and we'll take a quick look that there's not gonna be a lot of room for exhaust to come out back here. Currently, I'm thinking the best setup is gonna be to run it outboard of this and dump it out right here in this area. What do you guys think? I'm thinking maybe 2.5-inch oval step exhaust. That way the truck arms will actually be the lowest point of contact. And here's a shot from the front of the car facing back so you can kind of see where all this stuff goes. It's gonna be quite crowded. Next question. What are my right and left axle measurements? Well, I think more importantly than that is what is my drive flange to drive flange track width. And what that's gonna do is set you up so you can kind of know what wheels you want to run. Now I've set this axle up with maximum wheel tubs, 0 offset wheels, because I couldn't go too much farther in on this axle. It's going to be 52.5 inches from drive flange to drive flange on this strange full float kit. I've got my measurements here. We're looking about a 28 9/16 left axle and a 24 3/4 inch right axle. Now you may do the math and see that's more than 52.5. And that's because when this is all set up and done, the drive flange actually goes on the outside of this face and the splines are going to stick out to right about there or so, meaning that you're going to have to run a longer axle in this than you would a semi-float. So for my friends at work that watch the videos, thank you, and stop asking me what the name of the car is. I don't know yet. I feel like we really need to get it driving again before we pick something, but let's go through a quick list of a few of the ones that have been thrown out there. We've got Timbo, Tim2, Novation, Novocaine, F&Tim, Nessie, and my personal favorite at the moment is El Jefe. And we're going to keep going from there until we find something that really fits the personality of the car. So we're going to do a couple driving videos once we get this thing on the ground, and maybe that'll reveal something at a Cars and Coffee or a small show or something like that. Frank wants to know what's next, and the really short answer is this and that are gonna go in that. So the next question I have for today is, how do I stay organized? And you're probably wondering why I have my cell phone out, and that is because the easiest way I've found to share and use apps, no, is not sponsored or paid. You're kidding me? There's only 83 subscribers on this channel. Wunderlist right here is pretty fantastic. So you can create an account, put it on your desktop if you have Windows 8 or 10, that any Windows or maybe even Apple programs that use apps will run this also, and you can sync it to your phone through your email account, and you can share it with your wife, son, daughter, significant other, you name it. So we'll pull this up. You can see I've got a bunch of stuff in there. I've got one here for the Nova build. Let's click on that, and you can see the current list of stuff that I need to do and some other detail here. So let's see, we've got that done. We've gone through and kind of started some of these other ones, but we're not quite done yet. You can see answer questions here. You pull that up, and you've actually got subtasks. So all the questions that you guys sent in, I just took my Wunderlist task, I opened it up, I've gone through these subtasks, and I'm on the last one. How do I keep track of all the things in the build sequence? Done. Back it up. Answer questions are done. So Q&A for right now is over. Thanks guys for sending everything in. I greatly appreciate the interaction that we have on this channel. I'll queue up one more for you, and that's why in the heck did this take so long to get the next video out? It's been 4, maybe 5 weeks by the time this posts. Long story short, I hurt my thumb. It's been a little bit slow working. I'm not really sure what's wrong with it. I should probably go to the doctor at this point. We'll see if that happens. And you may have noticed already, I got married. So that took up quite a bit of time. Wonderful wife upstairs, but we're gonna see how quick we can get this thing on the road in the next 4 days. So I'm gonna be jamming out. You should see another vid come out, hopefully by the end of this week. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time. Oh, and of course, if you need any more Epic Tim content in your life, hit that subscribe button, stick around for another video, leave a comment if you have any questions. Thanks.